Okay, part 2 of chapter 2 of CSE 3200. We have made the question class and we put a little bit of code in the main activity, linked that up with strings. Now we are going to update our user interface by adding in a next button. And we will put in a vector drawable to spiffy up the next button and make it a little bit more clean. Inside of our layout manager and activity_main, we are going to add our next button. We do not want this button to be inside of the linear layout that is horizontal. So I'm going to grab this false button and copy it. And I'm going to paste it here in between my end tags for the two linear layouts. I'll change this from ID false button to ID next button. And I will change the string to next button, which currently doesn't exist. It just turned red. We'll go into the strings file, and we have true button and false button there. We'll go here, begin elbow bracket, string name equals, double quotes, next underscore button, and key to the right, end elbow bracket, and then in between we are going to put next, we're going to put a space, and then I am going to put an end elbow bracket, and that's just going to be like our arrow pointing that way. Now that is not our vector drawable, but that is going to be a quick substitute. All right, so that didn't take much to put in a button into the layout manager and give it a value. Let's run this and see if we get it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I ran this once before the video, and I was a little surprised to see the buttons weren't the right size. And I'm not sure if I had made a mistake in a previous video, but in the layout manager, I had almost everything set to match parent. The only two that should have a layout width and height of match parent was the parent linear layout. All the others should say wrap content. So if you did your code by following along in the video, you could check me and see if there was a mistake there. But change it so that they are all wrap content except for the parent view, and we're good. Okay. So we got our button, we updated our layout, and our button looks pretty good. It still doesn't do anything if we click it. I mean, I'm sure it'll show a flash, but it is not going to, it isn't going to scroll through our questions yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our vector drawable. Now this doesn't work exactly like it does in the book. There's a couple things with the first app that I found that are not exactly like the book, and that can be quite frustrating. One of the difficulties with programming Android applications is that it changes so fast. So if you get a book that is 1.5 years old and you're going through examples, you might get to something that looks nothing like what's in the book and get completely lost. Now our book, from this date, this is January of 2023, our book has pictures in it of screenshots from like April of 2022. So you know our book is super, super up to date for, well, spring of 2023. And it's still, I find things that have already changed. So I will try to point those things out in the lectures and the videos to alleviate the frustration. So here we go. We're going to go over here to Resource Manager and click on that. We are going to go to this plus sign and click on that. Click on Vector Asset. Now it says make sure that clip art is selected, but that's a little bit strange because, I mean, that's the default. So I guess you would only have it not selected if you accidentally clicked off of it. We're going to change the name so it's a little bit more user-friendly because we had to use it in code, and we're just going to call it arrow_right. Oh, this actually came up as a right arrow because I had put it in, but you have to actually go search that up. So let me cancel this out and go through the process again. Resource Manager, hit the plus sign, vector asset, and it gives me this thing that I had just deleted. But what you want to do is search for it by clicking that button there, which would instead show, here, I'm going to cancel it again. It's going to show this guy here. Oh, I can't click on that. All right, so it'll show an icon that looks like this. You'll click here, and you will go in the search bar, arrow underscore, or not underscore, arrow right, and it shows up. We'll double click it. We'll select OK. Now we'll change the name. And click next, and then click finish, and it should show up. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this while I talk. The idea is, does it show up the way that I expect it to? And the answer is, it actually doesn't. I mean, I put a vector file into my resources, but I never actually used it. So you've got to go in here into the activity underscore main, and right after that first namespace, you need to do it again. All right, there it popped up. See, no different. So XMN or XML, NS, XML namespace, and there's only 2 more left, and this is the first one. So I'm going to tab and auto complete that. So now we have to go down to our button, and we're going to put 2 more attributes in there. And it doesn't actually start with Android this time. It starts with app, and then colon, icon equals, double quotes, at drawable. Okay, and I have drawable right arrow. If you don't have drawable right arrow, but you have something else, then maybe you forgot the step where you changed the name. So there we go. And one more, app, colon, icon, gravity, one word, camel code, app, icon, gravity equals end. All right, now I'm going to try to run that and see if it works. Now, while that's loading up, some notes on vector drawables. Vector drawables are a good idea sometimes and not a good idea other times. So remember that it had that. Make sure you're selecting like a clip art. So vector drawables are typically small, highly detailed, well, not highly detailed, but kind of low detailed actually, but detailed enough so they're nice and crisp. And that's kind of what a clip art is, okay? And oh, there it is, and I can see that I forgot to delete the arrow in the text, but you can see the vector drawable there, so hopefully I'll remember to go back and change that. So anyhow, they're good for when you have things that are like icons. You don't want them always. If you have a detailed image, they're not good as a vector. A lot of math that goes into the calculation to make it scalable. So a vector drawable is non-lossy, kind of like a .png file, and that means that if you expand it or shrink it, that it doesn't really lose quality either way. So non-lossy, that's great. So we can scale up size if we want small icons, medium icons, large icons. So it used to be instead of having a vector drawable, we would just put in 3 different icons and we'd have it living in 3 different files. So it saves us a little bit there. So we want it for like icons and for small things like that graphic and that button. And we don't want it for like graphics that are going to be like a sunrise or anything like that. Okay, so I'll change that on my own. You don't have to see me change that, but let me just check our objectives here. So we did it. We added the next button. We updated the user interface. We click it. It still doesn't do anything, but that happens later in the next video and the one after. And we put in a vector drawable. So, okay, I will see you in video 3 next.